John Ridgway, defensive tackle, and really the front seven is getting ripped up quite a bit. Bumper Pool coming back, that was enormous, but still the front seven's going to be quite a bit different.
Well, they got a lot of work to do, and they just, like we said, they fired Ashley, the defensive line coach. Sorry if you were trying to transition to that, but he's gone. He's out. No idea who they replace him with, and I think that was because of recruiting and because of on-the-field performance. They mostly ran a three-front. It's hard to put it all on the defensive line. Ridgway was a monster. He got better as the year went on. At that nose tackle spot, he's there to absorb blocks. That's his role, and he did a really good job of that. I can remember A&M, who tried to match up with him with their five-star center, who was a freshman. Ridgway absolutely destroyed that kid. I mean, Ridgway he's a monster, and we'll see where he goes in the draft. I'm really curious to see where he gets taken. I think he gets drafted. I think he's somewhere in that conversation of the third or fourth round. But they're going to have to make up for his loss. Trey Williams, you've had a number of disappointments there, guys that have just not, who were highly recruited, or guys that had high ceilings or that were highly talked about. Zach Williams, Jashad Stewart, a couple of them, Eric Thomas, Torrin Carter, Isaiah Nichols. We've got Cameron Ball, who redshirted a year ago. Marcus Miller, who's kind of been a bit of a phantom. I don't really know. I kind of thought he might hit the portal this year, and he still could. Plenty of time. Defensive tackle out of Warren. But he's kind of found his way into the rotation a little bit. He's kind of underperformed, right? There's a lot of question marks here. And I took a lot of heat, Mark, here on your channel when I said coming into the season, I was pretty hard on the defensive line. I didn't know what to make of what's going on there. And it looks like I was pretty darn close to being right. I think I was right. Their defensive line production this year just underperformed. It was not good. I had someone telling me, oh, they're elite, Ty. You were wrong. You know nothing. Turned out that individual who disappeared because he would come into my live shows, he was wrong.
Surprise.
And yeah, right? What's kind of curious how that always happens. But yeah, not that they were atrocious. I think they did take some steps, and Ridgway was a big part of that. Trey Williams, before he got a little banged up, had some moments. But there's so many questions here, and I think they've got 2 spots left for their portal, and I'm kind of hoping they get at least one more defensive lineman. I think they do that. Wouldn't surprise me if they go after 2 more guys. But yeah, they're front 6, front 7, however you want to look at it. Some big question marks here, and we'll see. We know they like to run kind of a 3-2 front for the most part. Maybe they'll change that up this year and run more of a 4 front. I'd love to see them run more of a nickel-based kind of defense, but yeah, they a lot of work to be done on the defensive line. I think Torrin Carter has a higher ceiling than we realize. He'll be a junior. Cameron Ball is someone to keep an eye on. Maybe Isaiah Nichols, so they've kind of moved around on the defensive line, but a lot of questions still for Arkansas on the defensive line. Still. So hopefully they get that solved this year to some degree.
Couple of big losses in the secondary, but a couple big additions. You addressed those. So we could just go straight to this, defensive line coach, Jermial Ashley. So 1 year in the program at Arkansas after spending 6 at Tulsa. And he took the firing here in the last couple of days, and you think it's not developing the defensive line? Does it have anything to do with recruiting?
It's recruiting. I think it's mostly recruiting. I think it's both. Now there's some other, I'm not going to get into, supposedly there might have been a slight altercation off the field, but I can't get that verified. I've tried to reach out. I think it was. And again, not saying it didn't happen, just no one's willing to talk to me about it. So maybe there's some truth to possibly a off-the-field altercation, maybe a strong disagreement with someone on the staff. I don't know. You know how this works. We'll never know the full story. But I think it was recruitment. They lost out on a former player of his in Jackson player who decided to go home, back to Baylor. It's understandable, but Arkansas was thought to be the lead there. I mean, that had kind of been the rumor for weeks leading up to his decision. So he ends up going back to Baylor. That's a kid that was under him at Tulsa. He misses on him. He whiffed on several prospects. Now, I'm never really a fan of pulling the plug on an assistant or a coordinator or a coach, whatever, after just a year. I'm usually a let's give them a couple of years to build kind of guy. But in this day and age, we both know that's just not where we're at. And Sam Pittman decided to pull the plug. And, I think it probably, depending on who they replace him with, it probably the right thing to do.